Our legal analysis continues on Hot Seat with Noble McIntyre, McIntyre Law, who has helped us understand from a legal standpoint what these are all about. Let's talk about 790.
Okay.
It's been called the Ten Commandments state question. It's been called remove the Blaine Amendment state question. Let's start with this. This is a hot issue. Let's start with the Blaine Amendment. If 790 passes, the Blaine Amendment is removed. What then opens the door? What does that open the door to?
Well, I think a lot of Oklahomans don't even realize the basis of this bill. The Blaine Amendment is something that was passed at a national level many, many years ago, and it was really an anti-Catholic provision. It was at a time when Catholicism was coming into the schools, and there was a senator, Senator Blaine, Congressman Blaine, that didn't like that, and so he passed the Blaine Amendment, which would prohibit public funding from schools, and it was all about the Catholic schools. And many, many states enacted it into their state constitution. Oklahoma did as well, Article 5, Section 2. Since that time, there have been states that have removed the Blaine Amendment from their constitution, which is what this state question proposes to do, is simply to remove the Blaine Amendment.
That's all it does, just take it out.
That's all it does. And the reason that is why this state question has been proposed is because when the Ten Commandment bill issue came up a few years ago, and the Oklahoma Supreme Court said that's in violation of the Oklahoma Constitution, it was because of the Blaine Amendment. And so the proponents of this bill say, well, if we remove the Blaine Amendment, then the Supreme Court, when this issue comes back up, won't have that as a basis to rule the Ten Commandments unconstitutional, and therefore they'll be able to stay on the Capitol grounds.
All right, so let's say the voters say yes on 790. The Blaine Amendment is removed, and then what happens?
Well, the first thing that happens is I think the next day the Ten Commandments will go back up. But it isn't going to be just the Ten Commandments. Once that comes out, the danger is going to be is that it will be the Ten Commandments and then 1,000 other things ringing the state capitol, whether it's the Satanist image or you just pick your religion. Pick your religion. They're going to be able to have those around the state capitol. And I don't know that people want that either. And so if this passes, this Ten Commandments are going to go back up, but there's going to be a lot of other things that come as well.
And then do you see a lot of litigation?
Oh, there's definitely going to be litigation filed. It's definitely going to go back before the Oklahoma Supreme Court, who then will have to decide, okay, well, the Blaine Amendment's no longer in the Oklahoma Constitution. Does this still somehow violate the Constitution in another way? Because the last time the decision was limited just to that issue.
So previously, the Supreme Court could use Blaine for church and state issues.
Correct.
Right? It was an easy fix. It violates the Article 2, Section 5, I believe is what you said. So if it's gone, then the litigation gets more complex?
It gets more complex. It has to be looked into more closely. I think it gets more confusing and more difficult on the front end. Right now, people have a pretty good idea. The Blaine Amendment says this, and if you do this, it's going to violate that, and this is how the courts are going to rule. You pull that out, and that's going to change some things. And it's interesting. There are many, many churches in Oklahoma that fall on one side and many, many churches that fall on the other side. And the reason being is that there's a lot of churches and a lot of folks in churches that would love to see the Ten Commandments back, but on the other side, you see some churches and some pastors see the unintended consequences of that, and they don't want a Satan image right next to the Ten Commandments, and so they just want the status quo.
All right, so what the proponents say, it'll remove the Blaine Amendment. They're true about that, but in terms of settling church-state issues,
it isn't going to settle anything. It'll just be more litigation.
Okay, Noble McIntyre, during our analysis of state questions with McIntyre Law, see this and all of our analysis, legal analysis of state questions by going to news9.com/yourvotecounts.